Hi Paula, hi guys, welcome back to my kitchen. This is me, Marion Banks Nickelberry, coming to you from Warren, Michigan. Well, today is the end of our journey, or maybe the beginning of a journey. But either way, I've had a blast. I'm going to be making something that is very dear to my heart, and it comes actually from a recipe that my grandmother used to make for me all the time. It is a tea cake recipe. You don't hear of tea cakes very much anymore, and that's why I really wanted to make it for younger women who may have never had a tea cake. The other thing that my grandmother taught me, my grandmother and my family is from Louisiana, and they like jambalaya, and jambalaya is simply adding a whole bunch of ingredients to come up with some real goodness. And so today, in thinking about this challenge, I wanted to add a whole bunch of ingredients and come up with a little bit of wonderfulness for everyone to taste. And so what I'm calling my dish today is tea cake jambalaya. The first step in this jambalaya, I'm going to be adding or using Philadelphia cream cheese, the strawberry flavor, and a sweet potato. From Louisiana, sweet potatoes are king, and they make everything with sweet potatoes. So I thought, what a good tribute to my grandma to add a sweet potato to kind of see what I came up with. It's wonderful. The first thing I did was, well, let me just kind of take you a step back. You want to take your sweet potato and then cook it or slice it first into these little bitty chunks, and then you want to cook it on your stove for about 5 minutes, just until they are tender. You don't want them all the way done, although I could eat that, that's good, but you just want to make them tender. Altogether, this process is going to take about 20 minutes, about 10 minutes to prep, and about 10 to 12 minutes to actually bake the tea cakes. So let's get started. First thing you want to do is soften, and I have softened our cream cheese and the butter. Together combined, it's 1 cup, so half and half of Philadelphia cream cheese and half and half of butter, or you can substitute for margarine. So you cream those together. Then you want to add your sugar, which is a combination of brown sugar and confectioner sugar. I like cane sugar, but if you like other types of sugar, that's fine. So combine those. And then just kind of blend those together. I don't use a mixer. I like to hand mix everything because that's how I was taught with my grandmother. Let me just kind of show you this, how this looks. It's going to be a pretty tea cake because it's going to have the strawberry color as well as the sweet potato or candy yam color. So we're going to just stir that up. Gets to a nice consistency. The next thing I'm going to be adding is the flour. Well, before I add the flour, let me add my flavorings to that. I'm going to be adding 1 tablespoon of nutmeg, and 1 tablespoon of rum, imitation rum flavor. I told you it's a jambalaya. Now I'm going to add my flour. This is 1 cup of self-rising flour. My grandmother did not use self-rising flour. She always used just regular flour and then baking powder. But I just find that to save some steps, I like self-rising when I'm making cookies. So you do have a choice, but for this recipe I'm using self-rising. I want to stir those together. Now the next thing I want to add are my 2 eggs. And my grandmother always told me to make sure that you put your eggs in a bowl so that you don't get any surprises. So I'm going to take her advice and do that. She also said that you're only supposed to knock once when you're opening your egg. I have not mastered that yet. One day I will. So we are going to have to hurry up and get these stirred. And those women really had nice arms back then, because they did a lot of stirring. You know, we cheat now, but they did a lot of stirring, and I think they came out a lot better for it. A lot of hand stirring. But you want to get this to a very good consistency. Okay, we're almost there. Now our next ingredient is our oats or oatmeal, and you want the old-fashioned oatmeal, not the you know, type that is like pre-cooked or lightly cooked. You want the old-fashioned oats to add, and I usually just add them in gradually, but I'm going to go ahead and add all of them in. You want to just stir them in so that they're spread all the way through. Again, that's what that's going to look like. Now our very last ingredient for this is going to be our sweet potatoes. And you just want to put those in. You don't want to mash them. You want to put them in chunks, because that's part of the aesthetics, or what's going to make these look really pretty, are the sweet potato chunks. Again, that's what this will look like. Now I'm going to move everything else so that we can go ahead and plate these, or not plate them, but prepare them for baking. Plating is the actual last step. Because these spread really wide, you want to give yourself plenty of room. And I would put smaller portions on there, only because it's a thinner mix, and that means they're going to spread. So then and this will yield between a dozen and a half. A little more if you make much smaller tea cakes. Again, the baking time for this is between 10 and 12 minutes, depending on your stove. Everyone's stove is a little different, so just judge yourself according to your baking patterns. Okay, let's go ahead and get this in. I'm actually going to be taking these to a wedding today, and this is what they will look like when they come out of your oven. These have been out of the oven for about 30 minutes. They're cooled, and this is what they look like. Wish you could experience what they taste like. They're wonderful. I hope you have enjoyed meeting me, and I hope to see you guys in Savannah. Once again, this is Miriam Banks Nickelberry coming from Warren, Michigan. Bye-bye.